Good evening. Today is Wednesday, February 15th. I'd like to, 7 o'clock, I'd like to call the meeting to order. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let the roll reflect that members Ronstadt, Herink, Ruse, and Pettit are present. Redmond is not, and I believe that Vince and Brian will be joining us later. Okay, was this meeting properly notified?
Yes, it was. And as a reminder, it's being recorded.
All right, welcome to all of our visitors. Is there any public comment at this time? Okay, so we'll move on to highlight on youth. Middle school forensics, welcome. Coaches Mandy Langman and Tina Ferndenzer.
We are fortunate to have a very strong middle school forensics program. This year we had 31 students who participated, which makes our program the largest in the Middle Border, the second largest in District 3 of the Wisconsin Interscholastic Speech and Dramatic Arts Association. That's like our state organization, and the sixth largest middle school program in the entire state of Wisconsin. So that is something that we are extremely proud of. Numbers have always been decreasing lately, and we're really proud that our numbers have gone up. Due to the inclement weather this year that we're all aware of, our students only were able to compete in 2 tournaments, one of which we hosted, and they had incredible success at both of them. Many of our students received top marks in all rounds of performances, and we have one such with us tonight to present to you. We brought home primarily awards of excellence at both of our tournaments, which was awesome. And so tonight we have 8th grader Leo, and he is performing a prose piece that he wrote himself.
And that podium is adjustable too. There's a button there on the right to lower it, raise it.
And
And then you can move the mic wherever you need to.
You never know what's going to happen next. This is true in life and in literature. I'll be reading an excerpt of a story titled The Crib, which is self-written and includes confusing twists and turns and lots of mysterious things. This story was inspired and focused on a single image, a kid looking through a hole in a box. These are the first 2 chapters of The Crib written by Bill West. Chapter 1, The Awakening. Hello, is someone there? I asked of the hole. Yes, I am that someone, said someone eerily. I am the reason you are in your crib, someone continued. These few hours will be your last. Oh no, I anxiously thought. How will I get out of here? As I heard the sound of rippled breathing coming closer, the wall toward my left started to cut open. The knife was shaded dark blue with white liquid stain on it. I decided to grab the knife with my bare hand and pull the knife out of someone's hand and broke free. Once I got out, there was nothing in the room, not even a single person. The room smelled like it was freshly painted, but it was completely black. Maybe they painted it black. My mind is confusing about the reason for me being here. I started to feel woozy, and I felt like the room was morphing into something else. The room was changing. Maybe it was because of the gash in my left hand, but I started to feel horrible, and blood would not stop coming out of my hand. Blood would change in a variety of ways. The color of the blood changed from red to blue, blue to yellow, yellow to purple, and purple to black. Like the room was changing depending on how my mind saw things. The walls were changing from pitch black cement to redwood logs lined across each other. Doors emerged from within the carpeted floor. The floor was a huge orange flower with bees being stabbed by the thorns placed around the stem. As the room kept shifting between different shades of life, the only door started to creak open. Tall shadows started to face the door, where only facial features were their bright white eyes and their giant row of uneven teeth. Let's play a game of hide and seek, young one, announced the shadow. How about a game of hide and seek? I don't think I will, I replied with fear. 1, 2, 3, 4. As the shadow kept counting and counting, I started to panic and think of what it would do to me if the shadow found me. As the numbers started to rise higher and higher, the shadow started to slowly disappear into the floor. I ran as fast as I could. I ran straight for the door, even though there was not a single thought left in my mind. I ran. I rushed through the door and landed into an identical room, but the shadow was not there anymore. I could hear the door from behind me start to shatter. I could see the shadow, but this time, the shadow did not look happy. You ran. Why did you run? Shrilled the shadow. Why did you run? I, I don't know, I replied. I guess I was scared. I told you to hide, now run. Shadow was furious with my immature antics, but at this point, the blood coming out of my hand became too much, and I fell to the ground. Chapter 2, Caroline. Hello, someone there? I asked the hole, but no one responded. I started to break away from the web-filled walls. It felt like a spider just caught its prey. I felt like there'd be something extraordinary waiting for me. Yet there was nothing but a stuffed animal. As I walked towards the plush animal, the floor would move with me. The floor was sprayed pink with the conveyor belt pattern printed on it. I kept pacing towards the stuffed animal, but then I stopped. I felt like I was being watched. Once I turned around, I saw a gigantic black widow with the spider's huge, glistening eyes staring right at me. The spider sort of vaulted into the air and landed straight on me. I was not afraid. I grabbed the stuffed animal laying beside me, opened the spider's mouth, and shoved the stuffed animal into its throat. I got off the floor and sprinted towards its venomous fangs. I used my arms to hug one of the fangs as hard as I could. I ripped the fang clear out and stabbed the black widow square in the chest. I moved out of its eyesight and pushed the black widow towards the box where I came out of. The floor opened and the spider fell through. The floor started to close as soon as I heard the sound of spider flesh being shredded by saws. Some of the spider's blood started to leak out of the trap door. The blood was black. Thank goodness there were no cuts on that body, and I soon realized at the box that I woke up from was trapped. I was happy. Days have gone by much faster than you would expect here. The walls look the same each day when I wake up. The walls are painted white with a hint of green smushed across them. Children's drawings are stapled to the walls, yet one of the drawings looked very familiar. It was a blonde-haired girl leaning against the wall of the motel, cigarette in the left hand, kitchen knife in the right. Her eyes are what I truly remember. The eyes were two different colors. Her left eye was green with a hint of blue, and her right eye was black, white pupil. The drawing will always stay in my mind. But besides the ominous drawings, these past few days of living in these rooms are a buzzkill. There has been nothing super exciting or scary happening ever since the spider attacked me. As I walked through the halls, each one was the same. Some were slightly different, but most were identical until today. The room was so different from the others that my jaw started to slip open. It was an endless building with rooms being a mini house, and I felt like I had to explore every room. The first room was pretty unique, actually. The walls were painted sky blue with doves flying across them. Then the walls came to life. The birds started to fly all around the room. They were more free than ever. All of a sudden, I started to hear an airplane soar through the sky, but it was not. As soon as I walked into the window, there was a plane. The plane was coming right for me.
Yeah, you guys stay up there. They might
That was great. How long did it take you to write?
The first chapter took about like an hour, and the second chapter didn't take too long, but maybe like a day. I kind of edited it over a while, and I'm still working on the other ones, but I only have the 2 chapters ready and edited well.
I love the use of your words. Like I could picture everything you were talking about because it was so descriptive. Good job.
Yeah, it was really good.
Have you been
What
writing?
happens is when they write something really phenomenal in class, this thing happens where I say, you have to be in forensics because your writing is so great. And so he has taken this and continued to write and is hopefully going to write a book. So that's where this is going. So we're super proud of Leo and all of our forensic students this year. It's been a great season. So
Awesome.
thanks. Good job, Leo.
Thank you, Liam.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is GEDO2 presentation for graduation by Griffin Carrington. Welcome.
Is that right? We
Griff.
plug in up here.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
bet.
How's it going, Griff? I
Good.
haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, the Judo 2 program is a program that's set up by the state that allows kids that have fallen behind credit-wise to still be able to graduate with their senior class. So this is one of the milestones that the kids need to do every year to tick those little boxes that they need to do to get done with the program. So Clifton's got this today, and then he's got a big test tomorrow. All right, why are we not?
It's usually like F8 or something. There we go.
So
Yes, yeah.
All right. My name is Griffin Brickton, and this is my Judo 2 presentation. My life story. I was born on January 7, 2005. I am 18 years old. I have never enjoyed coming to school my entire life. In my junior year, I fell behind on my attendance and had to go to court for truancy. If I didn't go to school, the judge said I would lose my license. Mr. Johnson gave me an amazing opportunity to be a part of the Judo 2 program. This program would allow me to gain my credits and to graduate on time. How the Judo 2 program has helped me. The Judo 2 program has helped me in many ways that I could never imagine. In all my years of school, I've never been thrilled to go to school. I've also had 2 major concussions from snowboarding and stomach issues. This has made it hard for me to focus, get up for school, and to pay attention for long periods of time. The Judo 2 program has allowed me to able to work at my own pace. My interests and passions. Some of my interests and passions include traveling, gaming, snowmobiling, and jet skiing. My biggest passion, though, has always been snowboarding. I've been snowboarding since I was 12 years old, and I've always loved going fast and learning new tricks, often on the slopes. Despite falling a lot and getting hurt, I've always went back to snowboarding. My strengths. I believe my greatest strengths are I'm very determined when I start something. I have good communication skills, and I work well with others. And I've also been told I'm very personable. So my weaknesses, I try to avoid things more than just accepting them. I don't really have a lot of patience. I have a very hard time staying focused at one thing at a time. And I have a hard time starting things. Things I've learned about myself this year. Tend to avoid things or try to get out of things I'm not looking forward to. I realize that my mindset is not going to help me and only causes more issues and stress. And I am actively working on that. I've also learned that I can be very hardworking and determined when I set my mind to something. So my achievements this year. My greatest achievement this year is turning around my habits with school and being able to graduate on time. I've also got a new well-paying job at a moving company that is keeping me pretty busy. My future plans. I plan on going to Northwoods Technical College to study electrical construction and specialize in renewable energy, specifically in solar panels and batteries. When finished with my schooling, I plan to become an electrician working on and installing solar panels in the Twin Cities area. I would like to thank all the school board members for giving me this opportunity. And I'm very thankful for I'm very grateful for this program and for all of you for making this possible. I'd also like to thank Mr. Flanders and Mr. Johnson for putting up with me and making sure I come to school. That's it.
What's this big test tomorrow, Mr. Flanders is talking about?
Crazy test I gotta pass, I guess. Pass it.
Do you know what it's about?
Not really.
So you're not studying tonight.
Well, I just know it's important.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck. I'm glad that you're here and.
Yeah, you did a nice job.
yeah,
Thank you guys.
Mhm.
It's really good.
Good luck, Griff.
Griffin is an amazing kid who has worked extremely hard to find his path, and he's going to do great things. And I might have been the one person that said he's very personable. He's an amazing kid.
He just has to get up in the morning.
I think the fact that you could put your weaknesses into a presentation and present them puts you ahead of probably, I don't know if 95% of adults could do that and acknowledge something that they're not great at, but then also the next slide followed up with what your plan is going forward. I thought that was awesome. So good luck in your test tomorrow.
Oh,
Thank you. Good.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Comments by board members and superintendent. Right? You want me to say it?
Sure.
All right. So coming up Thursday, April 6th, there is the joint PAC BOC meeting at CC 11 Turtle Lake. There's dinner at 6:30, presentation at 7. Mike Berry will be the presenter for school finance. So if you want to go, let Kelly know.
Yeah. Yep. Just shoot Kelly an email. There's just one registration form, so just fill out one form for all folks that are interested in going. We can figure out transportation. Go together, obviously, and want to go in your personal vehicle, or you can get a school vehicle. Again, Mike Berry, he's the WASBO executive director and also the DPI director of finance. So, and I think this year being biennial budget year, it's going to be even more, I think, interesting to hear about school finance and how it works, and maybe even an update with legislative update with where they're at, joint finance committee, et cetera. So yeah, Callie, I think we'll send out the invitation again as a reminder. We've got a little time to reply, so consider it. But if you know you're available and can go, just let Callie know and she can mark you down right now.
You know when the deadline is for that.
I don't. I think it's fairly. It's probably 2 weeks before because they got to plan dinner. They cater dinner in. But I would say, yeah, we've got time. I mean, it's about 7 weeks away. And then secondly, something recent, which didn't make the agenda because it's recent, but St. Croix Chamber of Commerce sent an email, I think, to everybody just today or yesterday, inviting you to 5 p.m. social, 6 p.m. dinner at Parkside on Monday, February 27th. Each year, the chamber votes on the top 3 businesses of the year. So we've made the final 3. We might be the winner for, I guess it's organization, not necessarily business of the year. So yeah, it is. Yeah, most definitely. So if you're interested, I think it was there RSVP on there? Remember?
I think you go to the Central Chamber of Commerce website.
Okay.
Okay.
You can pick your tickets there.
So we would let Kelly know, or
However you guys want to do it.
Yeah,
Or we can
I'm
find out.
free. I'm available. I probably will go. If somebody else goes, I'm probably not interested in going by myself. But
I'll go.
somebody else goes.
Monday the 27th.
Yeah, maybe let Kelly know. I'll shoot
Okay.
her an email.
Whoops. Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right, so the next one is scheduled presentation by guests and staff members. Referendum update, bid pack number 3 opening was this afternoon here at the district office. Mold Architects and Engineers and Market and Johnson. We've got Eric and Ben on the line to share with us what we found out today.
Yeah, thank you. Ben, I guess I'll start off. Yeah, I guess good evening, everyone. So some good news here. Like Erica said, we bid out bid pack 3 as a part of the referendum here today at 2:00, which entailed the high school and all the work that is happening there. So the additions, the remodels, the parking lot, track and field. I was very happy with the total bids we had. Over the 40 work categories we had set forth for bidders to bid on, we had a total of 133 bidders. So just like the elementary school, very good coverage. Again, this is 4 hours off the press, so to speak. So these might be, the information is a little raw. We get to do our due diligence to do some scope reviews, et cetera, over the next few days. But generally speaking, we are within $20,000 of the DD budget that we reviewed here last month, I believe. Going back to the DD budget, if you guys recall, we were showing slightly over, it's about 650,000 over. But again, now that this bid pack 3, the high school has bid out, we have hard, solid costs. So those escalation and design contingencies can be put to zero. So with that being said, we are at or slightly under budget right now, tracking for the overall referendum, which is really good news. Again, that is, I know that's pretty raw data at this point, but I guess I'll open it up to questions if there's anything that you guys are curious on knowing as it pertains to the referendum here.
Yeah, I thought I'd just jump on and add, Eric, that this is just an informational item. There's no action proposed. I believe I think your next meeting is the March meeting, and the plan would be to we'll be back once all the scope reviews, Morgan and Johnson's completed that and verified everybody's bids. We'd be back with all the detailed data around the bids and awarding contracts.
Yes, thanks, Ben.
What are some like adds or deducts, and how many different variables and add alternate bid packages? Can you kind of give a rough idea and how much leeway we have either way?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess is your question based on some of the alternates? So I'll speak to those. Within the bidding documents, knowing that the budget at DT was slightly constricted, I will say slightly, we included some alternates that we asked our bidders to look at, right? And I'll just go through the list very high level. We had 7 alternates that we asked bidders to move on. 5 of those 7 were add alternate, or 5 of those 7 were deduct alternates, taking away from scope, and then 2 were add alternates. So alternate 1 was to remove a little canopy at the shop areas. Alternate number 2 was for the new bleachers at the visitor side with a new press box. I guess I do want to state within the base bid as it sits right now, we do have a new visitor side bleacher section with a press box on the visitor side. So that is currently within the budget as we're sitting. Bid pack 3, kind of going to mechanical electrical. It's just the VE doing some MC cable in lieu of some hard piping conduit. We had a decent credit there. Again, some of these just vetting between the design team and ourselves as we move through it in the scope reviews. Alternate bid 4 was for some pro press fittings in lieu of soldering. Again, something to consider here during scope reviews. Alternate bid number 5 would be to leave the disc and shot put setup in the current orientation, essentially not do any work there. And that was a nice little credit if we were to pick that. And then alternate bid 6 was to do a structural synthetic track surfacing, essentially paint the track blue. That is an add. And then last but not least, a bid alternate number 7 to do a shock pad underneath the turf field, which is another add. Sorry, I kind of rambled on there, but ultimately, Tim, to your question, as we go through these scope reviews, we'll really lock in on the final costs. Again, we're pretty confident. We're on the conservative side right now. Either way, wherever it lands, we will sit down and we'll go through and try to understand where the budget is and start selecting different alternates to get to the final scope as you guys see fit. I don't know if that answers your question.
I'll just throw on top of it that contractors also submitted voluntary alternates. So things essentially, as they reviewed the project to put their bid together, they might have come across something that they thought they could propose differently to save the district costs. So those are on in addition to what Eric just described. So all those will need to be evaluated to see if they're feasible. Yeah, so big picture, I mean, there's lots of options, right? Should we, whatever. When the budget comes in, more hard numbers, things that we can add, or things that we might have, could deduct, or both. We take away from something and add to something else, but there's lots of leeway in there. And I think that was the main thing. We're getting everything we wanted, and we're within budget. And that's not even applying any of the approximately, I think, $1 million construction contingency, right? Because we haven't started building anything yet. So there's even another $1 million in there for contingency built in, which of course we're going to use some of that, no doubt. Always is contingency, especially when you're adding on, right? You're knocking down walls and you don't know necessarily what's in there till you get in there sometimes. So, but $1 million is a big number for that too.
Correct.
And then just overall, like the feeling you guys do this, right? For a living, you're in it and living it every day. The big picture, just kind of what are your thoughts? Was this a good day? Was it bad news? And maybe just shed some light on the big picture there.
Yeah, I guess, Ben, I'll speak really quick on this, and I'm sure you can too with your experience. But yeah, I was very pleased with the bid turnout today. 133 bids for 40 work scopes. That's almost just over 3 bids per work category, which is very refreshing to see. And it's good to see from the DD budget to the bid date being right there within 20,000 on a $18 million worth of work is good margin. So as far as on an industry material view, it's good to see that things may be stabilizing a little bit. So we were happy to see that.
Yeah, I'll just throw on that I'm just absolutely thrilled with the results. If you think about it, this is really represents basically 2/3 of the referendum dollars, and we've quote unquote kind of landed that plane. So that's a huge win in my book. Questions from the board?
So Ben, when we had talked, I can't remember, I think it was in Milwaukee, you had mentioned that is this the stage in which the contractors are kind of held to their bids, or does that not happen until the work begins?
No, their bids are locked in for 30 days, Eric. 60 days? 30 days.
Yep, 30 days.
30 days.
And I guess to expand on that, so the goal, the next steps over the next 30 days, like we discussed, we'll go do some extensive scope reviews through the low bidders, usually the top 3 bidders in every work category, just to make sure that they have everything, that they have a complete scope. As soon as that's complete, we'll put together the final work sheet, our recommendations for subs, sit down and review that with the ownership. And once we have that in place, usually about 2 weeks out, then we will go and issue contracts to subs. So that will happen within the next 30 days. And the work will be locked in even months before the construction starts.
Yeah, I should add, they can't increase their bid cost, but if they can expose a error or something in their bid, and they want to withdraw their bid, they are able to do that. So they can't come back and say, oh, we need to increase these bids. They can't do that, but they could withdraw. So I don't think we've heard of anybody. Usually you hear about that pretty quick after the bid openings. I don't think we have any news on that from anybody currently that's concerned with their bid. Other questions? What bid pack is next?
So the next bid pack will be bid pack number 4, and that'll be the deferred maintenance work at the middle school. Rough timeline for that is Wold and Ben and his team are working on getting final documents together here for the 22nd, I believe. In turn, we'll get that out to bid on the 27th, the week of the 27th of March, and we're shooting for a bid date of March 22nd. From there, then we will have the full picture of all 3 buildings and should have complete locked in numbers for everything. So
bids hit the street February 27th or
Yes.
March. It's February 27th, bid opening on March 22nd. Is that?
Yep, that's the preliminary schedule as we're shooting for right now.
Pretty straightforward scope of mostly HVAC, right?
Yeah, HVAC and some electrical work. There'll be roughly 5 to 6 work categories. So obviously a lot smaller than the high school.
Yep. All right, and next month to be back with more detailed report and then timeline, construction timeline reminder as well, correct? Now that we're closer to breaking ground.
Correct. Yep. We'll have a month to do scope reviews for the high school, and then I will come prepared to speak to the construction schedule for the elementary school, high school, and the middle school.
Excellent. Any other questions? Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to financial reports.
Bank account balances as of January 31st, 2023. System State Bank checking $2,863,939.08. System State Bank money market $528,302.04. Assistant State Bank Fund 46, we're still at $53.72. Assistant State Bank Money Market Suicide Prevention Fund, $17,133.86. Fund 39 Debt Service, $156,764.40. Fund 49 Debt Service, $17,758,809.94 for a total fund balance of $21,325,004.04.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Moving on to the consideration of the consent agenda. Look that over, we have 2 full-time and 8 part-time curricular modification requests for students to enroll. Their motion?
Did we skip the consent agenda?
We're doing consent right now. Yeah, we're doing consent agenda right now.
Well, I thought you were doing this.
Nope, just the curricular modifications, letter E. I was saying how many are in. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So the next is the administrative reports, student enrollment update by Tim.
All right, this month, number of students in seats is 1,626, down 4 students from last month. For introduced lunch rate holds steady in the low 20s at 22.44. I'm moving down the column. I want to point out 4th grade. Bring your attention to that. We're looking at staffing for next year. We've been talking about 4th grade for a while, but our smaller, let's say, class size, like 108 this year, for example, allows us to continue at 5 sections. It used to be 6 sections in every grade. We made that cut a number of years ago, but we've had our eye looking forward to this big class of 122 3rd graders coming up. 21, 20 to 23 students right now in 4th grade. If we didn't add another section back and get back to 6, we'd be at 24 to 25 students in a 4th grade. So that's certainly near the top of our list, and we're looking at obviously budget dependent, but on the list to add. So I just wanted to kind of draw your attention to that. Virtual, so the next column down there, virtual full-time, virtual part-time students of 45 and 66. Those, again, are resident students. They're students in our district, but they're attending our virtual school. Then the last couple columns at the very bottom, open enrollment. Total, we have 350 students open enrolled in versus 137 open enrolled out. Combination of in seats and virtually in our charter school, for a difference of 213 to the positive. And speaking of our virtual school, bottom right there, you can see we're at 224 students as of publication and counting. Signed, I think, 4 more today, as compared to 225 last year. So right, almost exactly where we were last year, but they've really been rolling in this past month. So it's a good thing. It continues to grow and serve kids. Good numbers across the board. And I just want to thank all the ladies involved in gathering all this data each month. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Did he get cold feet? That's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm.
So you said 4 today? So
Yeah.
Got a few over than it was last year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This was, I think, printed Friday.
We're ready for you, Pete. All right, next we have Pete Newsbaum, and he is going to talk about the Lottie system at the high school, and he is our high school principal. Thanks for coming.
Good evening.
All right, so as we get started here, one of the things I really want to clarify is that, it's being the new principal here, this isn't something that I jumped in as the high school principal and said, let's change this. We started with the Guiding Coalition, which is the high school building leadership team, talking about some of the things that they had rolling in the past few years and something that they thought was worth still pursuing. So this kind of came as a result of that conversation from the leadership team in regards to pursuing. So working with Mr. Johnson, Mr. Madigan, counselor, Ms. Dino, who is the student services second admin assistant, and Teresa Davenport, working on her administration license, also pitched in quite a bit. So there's 5 of us. I've been in communication. We will be the 5th middle border school if we move this direction with the Lottie system. So I've worked with all 4 of those schools, communicating the pluses and minuses since they went to it, et cetera. Some of the pitfalls in regards to rolling it out that, some of the landmines they may have stepped on to kind of keep from doing that myself. So that got us to the point where the team, we met 4 times and compiled this. So I just want to go through the why. So the Lottie system is used by many schools, many high schools now, colleges, both locally and nationally. goal of the shift of Lottie is to create a fair system allows students to be honored for their achievements and not just the GPA. So usually you have your honor students in the cohorts and it's based on GPA and it's not necessarily based on the rigor, et cetera. So the purpose of Lottie is to recognize students for the AP classes, the college classes, all the other more difficult level classes they take along with achieving a really good GPA. And you know, the biggest thing in this bullet was added by a conversation with the math student or math teacher, Logan Kimberly. His conversation was, this is great because now when I give an assessment in my calc class, students won't be rooting against one another. You know, basically they'll focus on their own growth and achievement, not worry about what the other student is getting on that assessment in regards to the race for the valedictorian. So I thought that was a great thing to add. The other why, and that came as a result of last spring, it fits our grading philosophy of in regards to growth in a student achieving and focusing on them personally. And it really aligns with standards-based grading and grading for learning. And the other thing is when we started looking at, if you look at the trend of honor students, so if you look all the way back in 2013 and 14, when we had the traditional grading system, we had 23 honor grads. Last year, with honored 16 students, we had 86 honor grads. And that's a good thing. Why? Because we teach the four and we want kids being proficient. When that means that we have a lot of kids achieving, and that's a good thing. So with that many honor grads, basically the why is, let's also now, since we have them achieving that honor grad status, let's also now start rewarding the kids that are doing that and taking very rigorous classes at the same time. So the award level are the three levels, basically very similar to the college. So you have Summa, Magna, and then just Cum Laude, the three levels. So very typical, and this is pretty much what all the other districts are using. So nothing standing out there. But for us to be considered for a Laude Award, and I have to give credit to Mr. Johnson and Mr. Madigan, they vetted numbers. Mr. Madigan went back 5 years of graduates of the honor grads and looked at classes they took, numbers and so forth. And this is how we came to these numbers. So the cumulative GPA to be just an honor grad has to be 3.667. And that's nothing out of the ordinary. But with that, we also want to make sure that we're talking about only SCC high school approved list of advanced level courses. And we'll have a sheet that students and parents will get in regards to when we're all done, ready to roll this out, that we'll have that list. The Laude score, to give an example how Laude score is determined, you have the student's GPA after the first semester of their senior year, and you will then take the number of advanced semester courses completed in all 4 years and multiply it. That's when and how you will get their Laude score. So for example, a student with the 3.685, if they would only have taken 4 classes that qualify, or 4 points worth, it would, you just take 4 times 3.685 and they would get 14.74. Whereas you have a student now with the same GPA that's taken the maximum amount of Laude classes. Now their score is 36.85. You see the difference. In the past, they would be recognized at the same level, both honor students. So now, when we go to the next level, you will see that they'll be broke down. So I'll click this. So this will give you, and I want to tell you that as you look at this, this is the stuff in the boxes are kind of what in the top 3 are definites. They will be part of the policy. But what I really want to share with you is that the score breaks, in my mind, will have to be adjusted as we add, hopefully, more college level classes. So that might have to be adjusted every year in regards to GPA. Again, it's all stuff that we've covered in then the score breaks. And then we added some exceptions. And we want to make sure that we keep it as case by case basis. So maybe someone does take a class and that it's will be an honor grad. They might not qualify for one. So, but this is, for example, a chart that will be used. We'll work with, if we can move forward with this, we'll work with Skyward. Hopefully that they can work with us to make a report. So somebody doesn't have to sit down and do all these calculations. But this would be a chart that we would use very similar once we truly vet out the numbers. So that's a presentation, short and sweet, but you know, I would entertain questions. A question you might have is, what about valedictorian? There would not be a valedictorian, salutatorian any longer. We've still, because of the policies that we have in place, we will still be doing grade point average and class rank. We just won't be publishing it. So if a student needs a class rank for a scholarship, whatever, we'll still have it. And we'll still be able to get state scholarship per our policy based on that class rank. So we're not gonna be really losing anything except the title of valedictorian and salutatorian. So I left that out of the report.
At the beginning.
What's that?
It was written in the beginning.
Oh, was it?
You had it on there. so.
Yeah, but no, what I'm saying is I forgot to share.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you clarified that because I didn't notice that at the beginning
Yeah.
Is this a progression, like, so there used to be one valedictorian, right? And then, no, you're sure?
So that's kind of where we ran in. I wasn't gonna join Pete up there if he was gonna do it himself, but.
I can't see you, you're behind the
Sorry.
stuff.
So I've only, obviously it's my third year. When we first got here, I can't remember, we had 4 valedictorians. And then last year, I think we had 6 valedictorians. And so there is, the system was kind of broken because of the way we grade and the way our students achieve. It's not like a race to the top. It's not a rank and sort system. We just want kids to learn as much as possible. And so our highest achievers were achieving even higher. And so we're getting those, huge numbers of valedictorians, salutatorians. And so instead of trying to identify the one, this system allows basically, our highest achievers, they're going to get a particular set of chords at graduation. Will all be recognized the same. We won't title them that because we are getting away from, there wasn't just one valedictorian.
Right. I mean, like back in, like not that long ago, there was one, and then schools started to go to 6. And now we do this to kind of, right? Or
Well,
kind of a
it's,
progression or not?
in my mind,
Focus on something
I would
else.
say it's progression, Josh, but it's more of a progression with our advanced grade, how we progress with the grading. I think we progress to the point now that there could be a year that we're gonna have 12, 14 valedictorians because of the fact that we teach and we want kids excelling at the highest level. And, part of it is that they're allowed to reassess and that's what we want. We want them learning at the 3.667 level. All of them.
And I think it's important to note, and I think it is in the slide deck, but it's not just what you would typically consider your honors or your AP classes as far as the academics go. Any transcripted courses, any courses that have a designation that would get them credit from Northwood Tech or Triple Valley Tech, those would gain a point. So a year-long class that is an advanced level is going to be a point. The semester-long class would be half a point. That's where Mr. Newsbaum talked about, 4 levels of music. There's not necessarily an AP music option, but if a student advances through 4 years of music, we're going to reward that work because by the time they're done those 4 years, they're going to be an expert, whether that's music, foreign language, an art class, or, any area you want to talk about. And so it's not just the science, math, language, arts, history. It's all areas have that option for that advanced level and that rigor.
So and that's unique to St. Croix Central.
Why would that be case by case? I mean, I think that'll get kind of sticky with you guys. Like,
what do you mean case by case?
well, because you were saying it said it would be case by case on if they took 4 years of music or.
No, that would not be case by case. If they did semesters that, what I said might be case by case is like, for example, they're part of maybe a transcripted class that we didn't realize was transcripted, so it's not on our list. So then at the spring, we have the committee together. Because of if all this is communicated, we would have the ability to give them credit for that.
Okay. I didn't just want it to be like, well, this kid did this, but the same kid did the same exact thing. That's the way it gets
So
out.
we will have a published list of the courses that we already know the points for. And then anything not kind of written out on that, another scenario that comes up, or a student says, well, hey, I got this or this class, we can look at those scores kind of on a case by case basis. But the list of courses will be published and spelled out.
Yeah. Let's say it takes, this is kind of a personal question a little bit. Let's say it takes X amount of credits to graduate, say it's 20 or whatever. You have 25 credits. Can you just count your best 20 versus having to?
Oh, for your GPA? Yeah, I don't think it works that way. But we have talked about though in this case where our score right now is 24 credits to graduate. A student that goes above and beyond, so this would be one of those case by case scenarios. A student graduates with 28 credits, and maybe some of those courses they took above and beyond weren't part of our courses of rigor. That would be a scenario where we look at those extra classes they took and possibly add Laude points for them. Because they didn't maybe take a senior release or a study hall or something like that, they continue to learn. That would be an example of case by case.
And unfortunately, I don't think there's any school that allows kids to take their.
Well, because that meant they technically would have never even had to take that class.
Right.
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 And this would go into effect next year?
Next year.
So yeah, tonight is discussion, presentation, get your thoughts.
Questions.
We'd be coming back with this actually as a policy and one of the policies for first reading and second reading.
Right.
If, moves forward, then implement it, starting next fall. So with that said, any transitional issues to be aware of?
Just communication. There'll be some that have been working the last 3 years to the valedictorian.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a senior next year that's going to, I think of like Gabe, or maybe I should say his name, a kid in one of my kids' classes that, was really striving for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you'll find when Mr. Mag and I look through the kids and their transcripts, the kids that are going to fall on our top level are going to be those kids that were likely to earn valedictorian. There might be a couple more pulled into there, but any of the kids that were going to earn the valedictorian will be recognized at that highest level.
And their transcript would still have class rank on it.
It will,
Apply
yeah.
for scholarship admission, et cetera, would still have a rank.
Yeah.
So I mean, that
That's what they want to know.
Yeah, that's, you know, we're standards-based grading, but we provide a GPA because it's still important.
we just had a discussion yesterday, right, about admission into UW-Madison, right? Pretty high standards traditionally. And from, they don't require ACT scores anymore. Very few universities do. They're looking at rigor, mostly rigor in your transcripts.
Is the Laude scoring, is that kind of standardized? I know you mentioned there might be some tinkering in the numbers or in the GPA, where that cutoff is per se.
I can't see the GPA being adjusted. What might be tinkered a little bit with is our cutoff points in regards to the level that may be allowed in each, and also the total amount of Laude points possible. Like here, it's 10, it might be 14.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But you looked at the other middle border conference schools and that's where you gauged it.
It's all over the place. Like, some schools give 3 points for a year-long class. Laude points go up over 100 in a couple there. Every school uses a different, they're from 100 to where some schools are in the 80s. Some schools are down where we are. So everybody does a little bit different.
If you're a little more detailed about how we arrived at the 10 Laude points, we took just their average kid and what courses they would typically take and how many options for electives they had. And then we looked at our offering of electives. So how much if you maxed out and took classes of rigor your entire way through at every elective spot, what's the maximum amount of points you could get? And right now in our current system, that's right at 10.
That's 10 semesters. That's quite a few.
Mm-hmm. And if we increase our graduation requirements, then of course, then we would have to adjust the Laude points because we'd be asking kids to take more credit, so there's more opportunity.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And obviously, if any questions, you guys come up after this. Shoot me an email. I'll do my best to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jane. Okay, we'll move on to the key work of our school board, student, staff, and community recognition. Josh?
Yes. Suzanne Hoffs, thank you, Suzanne and Brent, for volunteering dozens of hours to start up the fourth grade math masters at SCC Elementary. Your commitment of time and effort to provide this great opportunity for our students who desire a great challenge is very appreciated. Thank you to Brent Garden. Thank you. Is he also in there? Yeah, thank you for volunteering dozens of hours again to start up this fourth grade masters at SCC Elementary. Your commitment of time and effort to provide this great opportunity for students who desire a great challenge is very appreciated. So thank you. Thank you for Katie Tate. Thank you, Katie, for organizing the math masters groups, practices, and competitions at SCC Middle School for many years. Your time and energy invested into meeting the needs of our students is very appreciated. You have been instrumental in challenging so many students to push their potential. Robin Faldy, Taylor Faldy, coaches, and the dance team. Congrats on the dance team's performance at state. Our dance team competed at state this weekend and placed 8th in POM and 6th in jazz. Brenna, thanks on being selected to the all-state team with your solo performance at the state dance.
Thank you, Josh. Moving on to core agenda items. The first one is consideration of approval of bus lease financing with Santander Bank. And it's Jen.
So about a year ago, we had a bus that was in an accident and was totaled. So at that time, we ordered a new bus to replace it, and that's what this lease is. So we're looking at a 5-year lease. For a 77 passenger, it'll be a 2024 model year. It arrived in Marshfield the other day, so they're getting it ready for us. The first payment I held off until August this year, so it wouldn't affect this fiscal year's budget. But we can plan for it then for next fiscal year. And it will also come due at the same time as our other bus leases. So they'll all come due right in August. The interest rate on this one is a little bit higher than what we have seen. We were usually seeing between 3.25% to 3.75%. This one is at about 5.25%. Totally expected though, with the way interest rates have been increasing. So we're looking at about $25,000 a year as the payment amount. Any specific questions I can answer?
So that was from a bus that was in an accident, you said?
Yeah, so last year, I want to say it was February that one of our buses was totaled
It
in
was,
an
that
accident.
sounds bad, like. they
No,
totaled
but
the
so
bus.
like, but what does the insurance, what did insurance do with that then? Like,
Yeah, so we did receive a payout from EMC Insurance around 30,000. And of course, because that was in last year's budget as a receipt, it doesn't really carry forward. So the lease would, that's kind of like what happened last year. Now we need to move forward to get the new bus. Normally we would have tried to have gotten the bus right away so that we could use that 30,000 as a down payment per se, but it wasn't an option with the lead times.
so just like, that just went into the general fund and.
Right, it went into the general fund balance, basically.
So what's the heck of lead time?
Yeah.
Yeah, right around a year.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Jen? All right, so we need a motion for this one.
No motion.
Motion for approval of the bus lease. Who would like to second?
Sorry.
Discussion. Right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next one is resolution authorizing the issuance of and sale of not to exceed 10 million in the general obligation promissory note.
So this one goes back to the board learning meeting on February 5th when Brian Brewer was there to present the financing plan for the last 10 million of the $30 million referendum projects. This resolution specifically gives permission to the president and clerk to be able to handle the paperwork to sell those bonds. Otherwise, it has to happen on a board meeting date so that all of you can approve it. So it just gives a little more flexibility with interest rates changing so much, especially that we could pick a different date then to make that happen. So one thing I did talk to Brian about today, because in the plan that he presented on the 5th, it had like payments in the first 3 years, and then there was a gap, and then there was a large payment in that last year. And in the paperwork, you might have noticed that Exhibit A has like amounts in every year, but they're smaller amounts from 2026 to 2032. And he said those are just kind of like placeholders. They put something in there just in case in any particular year there might be a better interest rate that would be available than compared to another year. As long as we have that placeholder, then we can utilize that if need be. So the perimeters resolution does go up to 4.5%. Of course, that's a combination of all the different rates when they put them together. The target rate is 3.75. So we're hoping for right around 3.75, but this does allow action up to 4.5%. And there is no like specific timeline on it. It's just for whatever the best time is to be able to sell those. Any questions on that?
So I need a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of not to exceed 10 million in the general obligation promissory note. I'd like to make that motion.
Motion.
Okay. Lance and Vince. Or any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so now we move on to the consideration of approval of the second reading of board policies. And we have several of them to approve. B through I.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item C through I as a slate of policies.
There's, so Jeff, make the motion.
You gotta read them all.
I Vince do that.
Name that.
Did you hear that, Erica?
Yes. Oh, Dave did second.
Yeah.
All right. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
It's actually sergeant for Vince to read all.
That's not against this.
So, next are considerations of the first reading of board policies. And those are letter J through R, or actually Q. We don't need to vote on those. It's just we need to have them on the agenda for viewing and review.
Feedback or thoughts?
Yeah.
Just for the sake of asking the question, the ones that we're removing are all, there's not any like combining ones of future ones we haven't got to, is there? Are they all pretty?
Correct. So Kelly and I looked like there were, there were like maybe 2 new ones that replaced one old one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not, yeah. We're not deleting anything that we still might need.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was.
Yeah. Like that are part,
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
So we do need to approve those for the eliminating of board policies.
Yeah. 13R would need a motion and a second, would need approval. If the first one, J through Q, just again, any thoughts or any questions on them? Again, they've all been vetted by WSB attorneys.
So then we can move on to R.
Well, and I should add by various administration, like, so Kelly and I'll, get it, but we always send it to administration, to whoever's department, special ed, make sure Leah looks at it, just to make sure that there's not anything in there like, wait, even though that's legal, we don't do that, right?
Yeah.
Or, et cetera.
And I know we talked about this before, but just to ask it again, what the first reading of what we're getting, those have already all been reviewed, and those are, vetted and everywhere right now.
Yep. So, by either WASB already their template, or Kelly and I go out and look at other ones that are generally, very similar. Or Neola is another big policy company that does policies, and find the ones that we feel are most applicable, fit. Smith, knowing what I know, get the principals to weigh in a little bit about something maybe, and then if we get a rough draft, we set of attorneys, for instance, the name change one, right, as you can imagine, more of a current hot topic thing. He changed a few things to align state law and links and stuff like that. So we used that language, and it's been a good process. I've been really happy with it.
Thanks for doing
It's been a fun
it.
read.
Thank you. What did you say?
It's been a fun read. Actually learning some stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a great way to get oriented. Yeah.
That's good.
We'll be arguing policy.
Yeah, right.
Says
Yeah.
Sit in on the, what is it, the convention?
Oh, yeah.
The delegate.
Delegates.
You'll be the delegate. Get ready for that next year. This is good.
Yeah,
You'll
well,
be prepared when you
we'll
sit
see.
there.
I actually have, sick that day.
What day is it?
That
February, March,
that day.
It was January.
oh, January. That's
No, this, meeting.
All right, so if there's no questions about the first readings, let's move on to consideration of approval of eliminating the board policies. Josh,
I'd like to make a motion to approve those. 1 through 5.
second.
so Josh, first, then second, is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so number 14, possible future agenda items for the next board meeting. And the candidates will come that meeting to introduce themselves.
There are only two of them.
There are three. Yep, Lance. Derek
Oh, I
Miller,
forgot about Lance. Sorry, Lance.
No worries.
and Angie Dibb. Those are three there. Any other ones? Moving on then, important upcoming dates. March 22nd is the school board meeting here at 7 in the district office. April 6th is the joint PAC BOC meeting at 6:30 at CC 11 in Turtle Lake. And April 19th is the board meeting at 7 here. So now we need a motion to go into closed session.
Make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to 19.851C quarterly superintendent goals review.
So then we need to roll call.
Aye.
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 I'd like to.